Today we are going to look at the idea of the power of receiving. I ran across a story that I wanted to share. And it's a story about a soap manufacturer who is walking with a minister. The soap manufacturer says to the minister, "You know, the truth is your teaching hasn't helped the world much. Look at all the hate, illness, poverty, and war that is still in the world." As they walked past some children playing in the park who were getting quite dirty, the minister said, "I see the soap you make has not really helped the world much in cleaning up the dirt and filth, now has it?" The soap manufacturer replied, "Well, soap only works when it's used." To which the minister replied, "Just like the truth I teach." And what I want to look at today is, yes, the truths that we teach are only work if we use them. But there's another element to this. This is the time of giving. Many of us have been taught quite well how to give. But at least in my family, we weren't necessarily taught how to receive. And that's what I'm looking at today, is the power of receiving. And the idea that receiving is as important, if not more important, than the ability to give. Because if you are standing there with both of your arms crossed and your fingers tight, and somebody throws a ball at you, you can't catch it. The Bible says in Luke chapter 12, it is the Father's great pleasure to give us the kingdom. But in order to receive that kingdom, we must be willing to receive. Ernest Holmes says, "It is impossible for you to receive that which your mind refuses to accept. If you desire to receive more, you need to consistently develop the ability to mentally encompass it. You make your life mean little and limited. And limit its possibilities when you refuse to accept the whole gift of God. As you open your consciousness to greater receptivity of the divine, to an enlarged concept of good that can flood your experience, life will take on a new and wonderful meaning." That was from Thoughts Are Things. From Richer Living, he says, "Life fills all spaces and spirit animates every form. But since you are an individual, even spirit cannot make the gift of life unless you accept it. Life may have given everything to you, but only that which you accept is yours to use." And I thought about giving and receiving, and probably part of the reason that I thought about this is my daughter and her family and I went to Oklahoma to see my 87-year-old mother over Thanksgiving. And yet again, she refused my gift because she said she couldn't accept it for various and sundry reasons, and some of them were better than others, but she didn't accept it. And then I was out running errands yesterday, and my daughter, the same one I went to Oklahoma with, called me and asked me where I was, and I told her. And she was in the process of doing some remodeling, and she needed to have something picked up. Well, I was just about a half a mile from where she needed to have this item picked up. And I was just elated to be in the spot that allowed me to do something good for her. And it just made me feel good all over that she had asked and that I was in the position to say yes. And sometimes we forget that when someone is giving us something, the greatest gift we can give them is to be willing to receive it. I read a story on the internet when I was thinking about this topic about a guy who had a female friend who was very independent and somewhat opinionated. And he saved up for several weeks to buy her a very special gift. And she refused to accept it. And because she didn't want to put him out, it was too expensive. He really couldn't afford it. And the list went on and on. But she did not receive the gift. In this particular situation, he could not return the gift. So not only did he feel bad because he couldn't keep the gift, but he couldn't return it, so he was out the money. And sometime later, he was talking to the same friend, and another friend had offered her a airline ticket to fly in to see the second friend. And yet again, she was refusing to accept it because it was too expensive. She didn't want to put her friend out, and all the good reasons we come up with not to accept gifts from other people. And this was a wise man, and he knew that if he said these words as his to her, she wouldn't believe him. So he said his dad told him. And what he said to her, he says, you know, it really feels good and empowering to give something to those you love. You clearly want to see this person, and she wouldn't have offered it if she didn't want to see you. It would be such a blessing to you if you would accept the offer and allow her the joy of giving. You know better than anyone, it's an experience, not money. And besides that, we don't live that long anyway. And he said that the idea of receiving something that someone was giving was actually a gift to that person was very enlightening and empowering to her because she hadn't thought of it that way. But just think about it. Think about when you're able to do something for someone, like me running an errand for my daughter, or just being able to do something special for someone that you know they will appreciate. Just think how good you feel all day. And it can move you into just a whole new experience. And, you know, why don't we give others, why aren't we willing to give others this gift more often? In fact, one of the ways that it is suggested to move yourself out of a depressing, being depressed, is to do something for someone else, to just, you know, even opening the door for someone, something as simple as that can be a gift. But we as a society want to not put someone else out. And in trying to take care of someone else, we have cut off our flow as well as cut off their flow because we're not willing to receive. And if we can't receive something as a gift from another person, and especially this time of the year, without running to the Christmas tree and grabbing one of the gifts that's under the tree, just in case somebody gives you something that you hadn't bought them a gift for, then if we can't just receive openly, how do we receive the kingdom? How do we receive all that God has to offer? How do we receive the love and joy that is God? We don't. We block the flow. So I encourage each one of you this year to be willing to accept those gifts. And sometimes they may not be exactly what you want, but still receive with grace and gratitude. I still think one of the best stories I have ever heard about receiving a gift you didn't want was one Edwin Gaines tells of one of her first year in the ministry. And one of her congregants was telling her that she was making her a Christmas present. And this woman was a quilter. And Edwin was really excited because she thought she was going to get this beautiful quilt. Well, 2 days before Christmas, the woman calls her and asks her if she can come pick up her gift. And oh, by the way, you will need a pickup truck to pick it up with. And you'll need some big guys to carry it. And she thinks, that does not sound like a quilt. So she goes to the house to pick up her Christmas present. And it's about a 6-foot tall macaroni rooster. She has taken the rooster cutout and colored macaroni, hard macaroni, not cooked macaroni, and glued it all over this cutout of a rooster. Now, this does not quite go with Edwine's decor, shall we say, but she graciously accepts it, and she takes it home with her, and she keeps it for a little while, and then sends it, I think, to Goodwill, hoping that somebody else will love it and it will fit with their decor. But she accepted it gracefully. She did not cut her flow off. She continued to receive the goodness of the universe. And this goes on even beyond receiving gifts. It also goes on to how well we receive compliments. In our society, or at least the part that I live in, sometimes people don't receive compliments well. And they don't really know how to act. If somebody will compliment you on how nice you look, and your immediate response was, this old thing, or I just dug it out of the back of the closet, or something like that, instead of saying just a polite thank you. They've done some research on the inability to receive compliments, and if you can't receive compliments, it's an indication of low self-esteem. And people with low self-esteem find compliments threatening. In fact, one of the studies even found that people with low self-esteem will come closer to maintaining a roommate relationship with someone who is nasty to them more than they will with someone who says nice things to them and tries to build them up. So if you have trouble accepting compliments, it can also be a cultural thing, or wanting to remain humble. But sometimes we need to celebrate who we are and to really acknowledge the good that we do and the power of who we are. Again, if we cannot receive compliments, if we cannot receive gifts, if we cannot acknowledge the value of who we are as an individual, how do we receive the kingdom that's there waiting for us? So as we live this life, we take that opportunity to do those things that help us learn to receive more. When somebody gives us a gift, we accept it graciously. We say thank you. We don't feel we have to run out and buy them another one. We just accept it. We accept the compliments. Sometimes a simple thank you works. If it's a situation that we value, and we value the person, and we know of something that they do great, if it's in the workplace and we have always admired what a great job they do writing reports, we can compliment them on what a great job they do. And both of us feel good. So what I am encouraging you to do is to practice accepting and receiving more. They say it's better to give than it is to receive. I don't necessarily agree with that. I believe that giving and receiving are part of the same thing, and that each one of them is important, not only to our emotional life, but also to our spiritual life. So in this time of giving, please also make it a time of receiving.